Okay, so we know what it means for a function to be odd. We know that the graph looks like x cubed, right? So it flips over here and it flips down here. And we know that this is the algebraic step to check that a function is odd. So if I substitute, so if I take a function like x cubed, and I substitute in negative x, and I cube the negative x, I get negative x cubed. So that is negative of the original function. So if that happens, if f of negative x is negative of the f of x, that means the function is odd. So if it's odd, so looking at this picture, and I'm looking to find the area between negative 2 and 2, so this area here and this area here, from what we remember this area was a negative quantity, and this area here is positive, so they will cancel each other out. So let's even go look at the algebra of doing this. So I get x to the fourth over 4 between negative 2 and 2. So x to the fourth, 2 to the fourth, subtract off a negative 2 to the fourth. Well, this is going to give me 0. So algebraically it gives me 0, and we can see what it looks like on the graph. So this negative area canceling with this negative area. So what happens when you can't do it algebraically? Like this one, impossible integral. So how do you recognize that this is the situation? So first notice that you've got positive and negative of the same limits, and you've got an impossible integral. So let's think about it. So I would just check, is it odd? So that's what we're checking to see. So if I take and substitute negative x in, everywhere there's an x, so I know this is negative sine of x, because I know that about sine function. This gives me 1 plus x to the 6th. So this is negative f of x. So that means this is an odd function. So since it's from negative of pi over 2 to pi over 2, this does give me an answer of 0. So again, this is an impossible integral. I notice the limits are plus and minus of the same number. So I'm just going to check, is it odd? So if I substitute in negative x, I get tangent cubed of negative x. So you might not know the property for tangent, but you know the property for sine and cosine. All right, so you know that this is negative sine of x that's being cubed, and this is cosine of x that's being cubed. And so this is negative sine cubed over cosine cubed. So this is negative tangent cubed of x. So this is an odd function. So this is 0. So how do you recognize it? If it's an impossible integral, you won't get things like this. You're going to get things like this and this, homework quizzes and tests. So you just need to recognize, okay, it's an impossible integral. I have the same number on the limits of integration, negative and positive. So check to see that it is odd, and if it is, you get the answer of 0.